Tonight on Behind the Music, Drumr828, upcoming YouTuber who makes videos about Shane Dawson raping his cat, but also a passionate musician. Tonight we look at what drives him, his music, how he makes it. Behind the music, all it is, the pain, the suffering. MTV. Drumr828 has been a YouTuber for over 10 years now, but most people probably don't know this, but he does cover a lot of drama, but also is a musician and actually releases some pretty good music. So I thought I would ask him into Discord to have an interview and to talk to him about his music, how he makes it, where the inspiration comes from, how it's changed over the years. So I hope you enjoy this video. We're going to go through a number of his sort of songs, some of his favorite songs, some of the more obscure songs, and yeah, just generally look at Drumr828 as a musician. I just wanted to do a quick plug for the Discord. It's down in the description. I'm starting it because I really want to do a new live show where we're sharing music and having some fun and interviewing other creative people within the community. So if that's you, or you just want to join another Discord to be toxic, then jump on in. I'd love to see you there. And especially if you want to be on the show, if you want to share some art, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, even if it's just memes, if it's music, that sort of stuff, I'd love to hear from you. Hit me up if you would like to be a part of it, and join the Discord. Thanks! So, what sort of bands or music did you enjoy growing up?
A whole bunch of different stuff, man. My family's musically inclined family. My dad's a drummer. I'm a drummer. Always had Frank Sinatra playing in the house. A lot of 80s stuff, just because that was the time period. Man, like there's actually a lot of like 70s funk that I grew up listening to.
What are 2 to 3 of your favorite songs at the moment, or genres that you're listening to nowadays?
It's kind of a bit cliche, but the reason it's cliche is because it is good. Is Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, or The Wall. Those 2 albums, all in front to back. All like you don't get albums these days where it is almost every single song that comes on has some kind of emotional twinge, you know, it's something that connects with you as much. It's just real personal music, not the sterilized shit that tends to get made nowadays.
So was there any software or hardware that you used? Like, how did you start out with making music when, like, before Ableton and where you're at the moment? Was there anything pre-Ableton?
Yeah, well, like growing up, it was just drums. I played drums grade school all through high school, into college for a little bit, but it was in college that a friend of mine's drum machine, and you know, like most drummers, you would look at that and you'd be like, fuck this thing. It's a machine trying to do what I gotta do. But I looked at it as like an opportunity, like, okay, I can get this thing to take a beat, and I can use whatever I've got. I can just make all the songs that I've been trying to get everybody to play forever, and nobody, you know how it goes in a band. Nobody's trying to go to the drummer for musical advice, you know. So there was stuff I wanted to make, and but I don't know how to play anything other than drums, so I was kind of limited. Then I got a hold of a friend's drum machine, cheap little. It was a Zoom drum machine. I forget what model. It's just crap, garbage. Playing around with that, and then I took that, a keyboard, like an 8-track guitar looper, and just I would do loops of beats, I'd do the beat first on like a loop. And then I'd go ahead and then I'd lay the beat or the bass down on a loop, and you know, I try to make whole songs based on a looping station. It was pretty terrible rig I had set up at first, but it evolved, you know, into something pretty nice. And you know, the software was more of a choice of convenience. I do miss having it. It's just not set up. I still have a lot of my old stuff.
Okay, so what's the general process that you use now? Is there some VSTs you prefer? Why do you like Ableton?
I actually don't use any VSTs. I did for a while. Switched over to Mac when it came to making music. I thought that was a good idea at the time. I just don't like Macs. So I mean, I've still got a PC, but all my music stuff is done on a Mac. As far as like how I go about making songs now, I never try to force it. Though I'll go months. You know, a little bit of a wave of inspiration. You just get an itch. I've noticed that if I don't like making something and I try to get up and start making stuff, I'll make something. I'm not gonna like it and it's not gonna be good, but you know, I will have gone through the motions. Usually if I hang loose and I don't try to force it, whatever ends up coming out is usually pretty different and special. Like I said, a lot of it is not forcing it. A lot of times I'll start with a beat.
Yeah.
I'll kind of work out a bass line and I'll kind of just listen to it. What's supposed to be there rather than what do I want to be there. And you kind of make a song just based on that, on what's missing, rather than you trying to predict it. You can just allow it to kind of layer up. And over time, you just mess around with it. All of a sudden, next thing you know, you got a single piece of a song. You're good to go for the next step, I guess.
So you use a MIDI controller or the Ableton Push for a lot of your songs, and you see it a lot in your music videos. How does this influence your music? Like, does this have a lot to do with the way that you sequence songs, for example?
That played a big role in a lot of stuff, actually. As far as me picking Ableton, was the whole where it is almost a grid layout that you can play with on these MIDI controllers, which is what you see in that video for memory games. That's a MIDI controller. That's pretty much just a physical interface for firing off clips that are loaded on Ableton Live. So I have a drum beat on one button, the bass line on another button, and variations on, you know, as it goes down. You got effects and knobs and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun to play around with it, but that's the reason really why I picked out Ableton, is because that in my head is what was just a simple grid with sounds in it. And if I knew if I had that, then you can easily just construct a song almost like puzzle pieces. Oh, here's a beat, here's a cool little bass line, goes really good with this beat, oh, but it goes better with this beat, and here's a weird little sample I'll throw in. It's just the whole process of making it. It's almost like Legos. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and so when you finally release a song, is it sequenced within Ableton, or are you actually sequencing via the MIDI controller? Because it seems like a lot of the songs that you've uploaded, when you can actually see what you are doing, you're actually using the grid and doing it live.
Yeah, I'm doing them live. I do that for all of them because mainly I feel like I need to be doing something, and I'm not trying to diss anybody who doesn't do it like that, because I think the majority of people who use Ableton, they don't use it like me. I taught myself to use Ableton, so I do a lot of things wrong, or what most people would consider wrong. I don't really know the product, but I definitely go about way because nobody really showed me how. I just kind of figured it out.
Doing it live is quite unique way of sequencing, that's for sure. That you're actually sequencing live. Wow.
I mean, it's fun though to be the one that's making all the changes happen. You know, it's not actually sitting there playing the beat. I think left over from being a drummer and using a drum machine, that I feel like I need to be a lot more interactive. But you also too, when it's you doing that, there's a lot more that end up coming through, even unintentionally, which I think is a big part.
So, what is your experience with putting music up online? What's the good and bad aspects of doing that?
There's some really cool things that go with putting music online, some really annoying things that go with it. The cool right off the bat, it's just neat to make something, and if anybody even responds to it, it's, you know, that's something that means something to you that you put up there, and if it gets some positive feedback, it's pretty cool, especially with something as personal as music. I've had one song that took off, and I got to experience the good and bad just with one song. And the good was, you know, it took off, got a shitload of views, a whole lot of people liked it. People started buying it. It was the Vivaldi remix. That one actually pulled that song and used it for one of their videos. It was these two little Asian kids that did like breakdancing, and they dance routine to one of my songs. Didn't give me any credit for it. Their video took off, like had 3 million views in like a couple of weeks. So I had to hit them up and be like, listen, you know, you gotta give me credit for this.
And did they?
Offset. Yeah, absolutely, and made up for, you know, the transgression, because they were kind of freaked out, because when you got a video like that that's taken off, I mean, it launched their career. They're doing great on YouTube now because of that video. You know, to have that in jeopardy because you stuff legally, they definitely didn't want anything to go wrong, and
yeah,
quick little stern talking to, and they made up for it. I'll give them credit for it. They went out of their way to make up for it. But you know, that's one of the bad things that come with putting music online, is there's a lot of thieves out here, and there's a lot of people that will go on, they'll pass it off as their own. I got a video of somebody I exposed doing that here on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen that video. That's Santa Claus.
That's why I'm a Patreon. So, you know, yeah, the live streamers might have been giving you shit the other day about, you know, oh, Xanta's a nobody, why would anybody care about this? And that was, like, I personally was affected by that, and that's why I jumped to YouTube, was because most of my songs were stolen off SoundCloud and then copyright claimed, and then they booted me off SoundCloud because they said that my own original work was not mine. And that Night Trip song was the last one that finally got my channel deleted. And I then I said, oh, well, I'll make a music video for it, put it on YouTube, ends up with over 7 million views now. But yeah, it was because of music theft. And so when you made that thing about Santa, I was just like, oh my God, that it's happening quite a lot. And there's real pieces of shit that do it.
Yeah, I mean, I got hit up from girls that were saying like, oh, you know, he hit me up and he's telling me he's a music producer and blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, dude, this guy was a grade A scumbag.
Yeah. Okay, so what are you working on at the moment musically, and have you got any new tracks in the works? I'm guessing probably no, but...
No. I've been thinking, since you asked me about the interview though, it's got me thinking about back up again and let's play around with it. It's got me in the mode, so there'll probably be something.
Yeah, that's good.
Feeling the itch.
Your music videos, as we go back through them, there's a lot of they sort of seem remixed of a lot of old footage and different things like that. Is there stuff that you prefer to use? Anything you want to say about that? I mean, we're gonna look at specific songs, but yeah.
That's also kind of like a style that's emerged because of all the copyright constraints. You gotta watch out for what you sample. So a lot of the stuff I end up having to sample in this old public domain footage, stuff like that. I'm you know, because I'm making these songs, and I know I'm nobody special. Nobody really gives a shit. So if anybody's gonna take the time to just song, I want to at least give them something to look at. So there's a lot of my songs I try to make a video for. And so if you can only use, well, then I gotta spice it up somehow. How am I gonna do that? Well, effects and colors and doing all that stuff. In the process of doing that, I've common thread or theme, at least, to a lot of those videos, which you pointed out pretty astutely that, yeah, it's a lot of old footage is what I like to play around.
All right, one more thing before we move into the music. The vaporwave stuff. What did you want to say about vaporwave and your contribution to it?
I don't really talk about that too much. All my vaporwave stuff is under a different name. It's a pseudonym, and you know, I'm part of like a crew based out of New Orleans, virtual crew vaporwave, and everyone in it is anonymous. The only thing we're allowed to say is that we're in the crew. We don't say what we do, but yeah, I like vaporwave. I'll say that. It's been a fun little. I think it's getting played out, but I still like it.
Well, I think what you seem like, what it sounds like you're doing is very much the vaporwave. You know, that is vaporwave. It's very much anonymous, and
I'd say essentially it's making fun of consumerism.
The usual.
The whole myth that, you know, the products of the commercials of the 80s where everybody's happy and everything's great, and then it's living in the reality where that's not the case at all. There's still echoey memories of what it was supposed to be still playing, you know, this whole very depressed post US boom of the 80s kind of environment. I never even knew how to play piano or anything. I had a keyboard, a drum machine, and just started playing around with stuff. Eventually got a synth, and it was Korg made these like dual setups, and they both had vacuum tubes in them. And one was like a EMX, and one was the ESX. The EMX was that was like a digital synth. It's pretty cool, you know, had all your common filters on it and everything. And then there was the ESX, which was like a sampler. So it had the drum machine built into it and had its own sampler built in where you could do all kind of stuff. That was like my first time ever messing around with being able to sample anything. That took it to the next level.
Yeah.
Being able to play around with really bizarre sounds.
Yeah. So, because that's one of the songs I wanted to pick up on. It was one of your earlier stuff that you've uploaded, that Tombstone song from 2009, because it says that you made it with the Korg ESX1, a Chaos Pad, I used to have one of those, and an Akai drum machine.
I've forgotten how you made that with those tools, man.
Yeah, it's like for some sort of competition as well.
Yeah, this is an old music video competition. It wasn't even, it was just a video competition. I wanted to make a music video. So the competition was you had to create something from scratch in like 24 hours. It was like, this was how YouTube was back in the day. It was just somebody came up with an idea and everybody started playing along. And so I made this song with that Korg ESX. This was me like sampling, like just learning to sample.
So this is sort of when you first started out?
Yeah, well, sampling. Like, I've always been around music, and like the actual like creating songs was fairly new to me at this point. Yeah, full songs.
So like with sequencing and that sort of stuff, or just trying to get...
Yeah, and at the beginning it was all just, you know, like I said, a keyboard, a drum machine. I'd do a bass line using the keyboard, the lead, the keyboard, and but sampling, man. Sampling is when you all of a sudden start dipping your toe in the water, playing around with some crazy stuff.
All right, so is there anything else that you wanted to say about that song? That piano loop does sound very familiar, but I just can't put my finger on what song that's from.
To tell you the truth, man, to go back and figure out what sample that is I wouldn't even know what to tell you. I was purposely trying. This is days of YouTube content ID when it was flagging random stuff, and it's changed. It still does that to this day, but everybody's really worried about it. I was worried about it as far as uploading stuff, so I was taking samples and just mess them up, make them sound completely different than the original one was, because I didn't want to get flagged. But it's cool, that process. Kind of, you're put in a situation like barriers like that or restrictions. That's when you get real creative with stuff. So like just the process of trying to like hide what I'm sampling led me to where I purposely don't want you to know what I'm sampling or where it's coming from. A little bit of Alfred Hitchcock there. That's where this video is actually from. This is all the footage from this is from an Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
This one was cool. This was me kind of before. This was before Vaporwave, but this was me experimenting with it a little bit. So this is kind of the most Vaporwave Drumr828 track. But I liked it a lot. I've actually sampled this song. This is the same song that I sampled in Battle Sounds, I think is the name of the first song that's on there. The songs are completely different. I'm doing something different with each song as far as what I'm doing with the samples. You know, there are certain songs that have these really weird tones and weird sounds, and I'll never reveal what the song is that I'm sampling, but I'm sure if anybody ever looks into it, maybe one day they'll find out. But it's such a good nugget of harmonies that are in this that I'm sampling for the song that it's almost easy to make something with it.
So you made this in late 2015?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It might be. It's usually around the same time. Usually what happens is I'll make these songs and I'll poke and play around with them until I'm completely sick of it. By that time, I'll throw it up on the internet.
Cool.
Do something to dress it up a little bit at the end.
So what's the difference between this and from, 2009 we had Tombstone, those sorts of tracks. Now we've got Downstream. What would be the difference in your workflow between then and Downstream?
Yeah, I definitely say I was starting to figure out more what I wanted to sound like. I'm playing around more with slower beats per minute.
Yeah.
For a long time, I was like stuck on this. Oh man, I gotta make this. I want to make something intense, 140 BPMs. And a lot of stuff was actually 120 that I was doing, but I was always going for more of an intense, a much more almost immature taste in music, I'd say. I was always trying to get all amped up and pumped. I was trying to go for something that I could actually relax and listen to, rather than something that I wanted to get up and dance to. Yeah, I'd say that's probably one of my favorites, because I can still listen to it. There's a lot of these songs I don't even want to hear, honestly. So I'll listen back to some of the older tracks, and man, I'm like cringing because any of the flaws, and there's many of them, as far as like the mix down and everything, because I don't remaster anything. I just make it, stick it out there.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of tracks where the drums are way too loud or the bass is way too loud.
It's probably because of the way your workflow, how you're sequencing it live and that. Okay, next song is my favorite.
Chic.
Same year as Downstream, a few months later, 30th of December 2015. Made with Ableton Live.
This was a fun one, man. This is I was trying to play around with some kind of Arabian sound. I didn't even know really what I was going for, just something bizarre. A lot of these songs are just like experimenting with something weird to sample. And so you'll hear like the main hook on this is that It's like this weird violin playing an Arabian ant song thingy. It's weird. I don't know. I had fun making it.
I love it though. Yeah, it's definitely something that is, you could throw that into a DJ mix or something and just bam, that would be your sort of hook song that you could slam in.
Well, it starts heavy. In a lot of my songs now, you'll notice is like there's all these long intros and it takes fucking 2 minutes just to get to the main hook of the song. And this was made at the point where I realized, like, no, I'm trying to get people's attention like immediately. I don't even want to, like, I'm not even trying to play around. So if you'll notice that song, it starts and it just fucking goes, like, from the very beginning.
Is there anything else you would like to say about this song before we move on?
No, I just like cartoons with titties in them. That's the music video.
Alright. Okay. This song you promoted heavily, so I'm guessing you somewhat like it, hopefully.
Oh, Knockaround Gang. Yeah, I like this one a lot. This one was weird though, man. The music video, I had a weird moment with the song. Now the song itself, I really like it. I had a lot of fun making this one. I had somebody send me a link to an Adult Swim video. They have a show called Off Air, and one of their shows, and I forget which one it is, and it's almost exactly, it's the same footage that I used for the video for Knockaround Gang, of the kids on the bike wearing these monkey masks. It's the exact same like weird effect that I'm using and everything, to the point where somebody sent me the clip and my first reaction was, son of a bitch, Adult Swim stole my music video, man. Like, they're using my shit. Like, ugh, I'm so mad. Went and checked the dates, and it turned out that they had done it a year before I ever made my video, so I felt like a bit of a retard for a minute, for raging up. Like, oh, these sons of bitches stole my work, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out, nah, they beat me to it by a year. And the guy who did it, the only difference was, you'll notice I'm doing like a weird green screen effect on it, and there's like yellow and cartoon images coming through. The only difference was the guy, instead of doing what I did with cartoon stuff, he just used water. But used the exact same footage in the same spots. It was fucking crazy.
And so where did your visuals come from then? Like, you didn't go there?
.org is where I downloaded the actual safety video for bike safety or something like that. It's just something real retarded. and apparently this person had also gotten a hold of the exact same school safety video.
Well, it's a school safety video with fat kids on bikes with monkey masks on that go down a sewer or something. So, like, yeah, I think that's internet worthy. That's so internet worthy. I can see a lot of people going, "Oh, this is pretty cringy. I like this." Yeah.
When I found it, I was shocked. I hadn't seen it used anywhere else, and apparently I was wrong. It had been before I found it. So.
Well, it's the sort of thing you would probably see on Red Letter Media when they just watch the videotapes. I think they did one where it was a bus. It was like a video for bus drivers and try not to put your bus on train tracks so trains don't hit you when you got a bus full of kids. And that's the whole video, yeah.
Throwdown. Neon Throwdown and Downstream are probably top 2 songs.
Yeah, I can see why, yeah. They're catchy.
Coming up with something that sounds unique is one thing, but if you got a hook and it's good, like that takes your music so far. And just finding that right little piece, that's why Ableton works so good with me, man, is that whole grid setup. Like I've said before, you can just sit there and just try things. I audition different clips until something just snaps into place, and you can tell. You'll hear gibberish, and then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, something just clicks. You're like, wow, that's amazing. A lot of these really neat parts of my songs are completely accidental. I'll always make the beat, like the drum beat.
Yeah.
Usually 99% of the time, I'm making the bass line as well. I'll sample something, or what a lot of the times I'll do is I'll take out a lot of the low end from the sample on an actual song. Something that's got a lot of stuff to it already, and I don't want to get it all muddy. I'm trying to save room for the actual drum sounds that I want, and they try to pull it out of whatever I'm sampling, and mids and the highs a little bit just to get it to sound just right. But if you leave room, you can sample almost anything. You just gotta fuck with it a little bit.
How do you go about finding samples? Do you just spend like a day going through media and just sampling a whole bunch of shit? Do you find a song and you be like, ooh, or find some media and be like, yes, I like sampling that? Do you go to a record store and buy a bunch of shit?
Look in obscure places. I've gone on vacation before and gotten albums from people just selling their CDs on the side of the road, and used some of that for sampling like guitar riffs and stuff like that. I try to find stuff where people aren't already sampling. Yeah, the Four Seasons remix. Wasn't like a big fan of the Four Seasons or anything like that. That was actually me trying to figure out how to get more eyes on my music.
Who are the Four Seasons, or what is the Four Seasons?
The Four Seasons, Vivaldi's Four Seasons. It's a classical composition, I guess you'd call it. It's a bunch of different parts, but they basically all cover the Four Seasons. I took a little piece of each of the Four Seasons and released it on YouTube, and it was pretty cool. Like the whole process of doing it, but behind the whole idea to begin with was me trying to play around with the algorithm. This is the time when I was really doing a lot of trying to figure out what works in the algorithm, what doesn't, how does it work. I've always kind of poked and prodded around with it. I think you can see now that, like, yeah, I've definitely figured some stuff out as far as how to make it work. This was at a time I was just kind of still poking around, so I hadn't tried to figure out what was the most popular kind of music that was being looked up on YouTube. Classical was up there.
Oh, really?
It wasn't the highest, but it was. I was trying to find, and at this time, if you could have a niche to occupy rather than a very general thing, you could show up higher in a search, in a very like niche search. If people typed in Four Seasons remix, and I get hits on that just for that search, and it's weird that there's people out there searching for that, because it's not like a common thought. Analytics was kind of surprising, but anyway, that one took off, man. I got a lot of attention. People asking me to use it on stuff, and there's a lot of people I said no to. Eventually, I kind of warmed up to the idea. After I was sour to it after the kid that sister kids that stole it and just used it for their video and got a shit ton of views. They didn't give me any credit for it. I was kind of still sour about that. I got over it after a while, and Troop use one of the songs. I have video of it. I forget which video it is on my channel, but there's video of them doing a little ballet dance to one of my songs, which is, to me, hilarious. I never expected to see people in like tuxedos sitting around listening to one of sitting in my room.
Yeah,
being a retard. That's cool. Seeing people sending me videos of their kids dancing around to my song was neat. It was a cool little experience. Never had people respond I'd made like that. So that was definitely, that was one of the first times I'd ever put something out and really saw people enjoy it.
Last song, of course, I think you know which one it is. It's Pick Up the Pieces. And I'm guessing this is more your song rather than, it's not as sampled as much, where it's got,
There's no samples in that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
That's a different song. It's kind of, I was talking about that earlier. There are songs I don't sample. Not every song I make is happy. There's definitely some depressing ones in there, and this is one of them. I do like it though because there is no samples in there, and I was able to get some really wild sounds. Yeah, I was really happy with the finished product of the song.
Yeah, well, it sounds great. You know, you could, with a bit of mastering, a bit of tweaking, and you know, you could put that on a CD, and no one would know. You know, you'd release it as a track. I mean, it's great quality. Yeah, that's what I really like about it. Yeah.
Parts in there where it gets real spacey, the whole woo, all the weird wild sounds in there. I was just like, I was pretty thrilled when I figured out how to do all that stuff.
So all the piano and stuff, because I was going to ask that a while back about a lot of your other songs, where there's that sort of piano over the top, and you said that you did your bass lines, you did your drums, but do you do a lot of those that sort of keyboardy organ sort of sound over the top as well, or is it sort of sometimes samples, sometimes you? Or?
Yeah, if it sounds like somebody knows how to play piano, it's not me.
Hey, you need reason. You just put a players and chords thing and it just does it all for you now.
I have a bit of an advantage with the MIDI setup that I have, where I'm able to do chords and stuff like that really easily, and that helps out a lot. But I think some of the songs that you might be talking about, there is more of like a jazzy piano.
So it is sort of a mix.
Yeah, there's songs where there's no samples, and then there's songs that are. Like I said, like I don't really have a plan a lot of the time when I'm making them. It's just kind of when I'm not feeling the synthesizer. I'm just not getting it done as fast as I think I should be. I'll start playing around with samples, and the next thing you know, the creative juices just started flowing, and you've got a whole song. You know, it kind of just gets you moving in the right direction.
And so, have you done much singing before on other songs or in other bands, or was this sort of just came from the heart and you sort of just belted out?
Day, but nothing recently. No. It's not something I really planned to do. I don't really even know why I did it for that song, but experiment. A lot of the stuff that I do, like I said, isn't planned. I'm just kind of whatever I feel like doing at the time.
So as far as pick up the pieces, I noticed that on the SoundCloud it said that there was a short film that inspired the song. That was free on YouTube called Neutral. Won quite a lot of awards.
Yeah, that was for. I was trying to help this guy promote his short film, and it came out around the time I was releasing the song. I didn't write the song specifically for that. I thought the song really fit with the guy's short film pretty well. I wrote that song specifically generic enough to fit into a lot of it. Songs about just losing somebody and then trying to figure out what to do next. Pieces, you know, like making life go on, and that's the short film was about. And just the whole look, the feel, the music of it, really fits in really good with it. So yeah, I gave him a little shout out on there. The guy Short's really good. He's an old school YouTuber, been around, and sold almost everything he owns to do this little short film.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I like that. That's where it's at. I think that's it. I don't think I've got any more questions. No more shit.
Well, that was way better than I was expecting, man.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
No,
know
fuck you. No, you put it out there now. What were you expecting? I just want to know.
You threw out some stuff to me, man. I like calling out what equipment I was using and everything. I don't even remember half of that stuff. So that was definitely kind of. It's a nice little refresher there, man. I enjoyed that a lot.
If you enjoyed the video today, then make sure you hit up Drumr828's channel or SoundCloud, links below in the description. if you would like to be interviewed or also make music and that kind of stuff, I'd really love to hear from you. Please jump into the Discord. Let's get a dialogue started, because I would like to start doing this on a regular basis. Thanks, man. See ya.